Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Michael Dorsey here in Alpharetta, Georgia. I want to welcome all of our friends, our guests, our associates, our teammates, our family, really, just to our continuing, leadership, personal and professional development, course that we're doing. We're going to continue it for as long as you want it. We're going to continue doing it. Do want to say a couple things right now for the new people that are first watching. We are actually going through the book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by the great John Maxwell. It's been a great read. We've been covering 2 chapters per week. And this week, we're going to be talking about the law of victory, which is chapter 15, and the law of the big Mo, which is momentum, which is chapter 16. So we're going to go through that this evening. I just have a few things I'm going to share, then I'm going to open it up to get some comments and stuff. And I think that we learn a lot from many different voices. It's that mastermind theory where 2 or more minds coming together form a third more powerful mind. And I think it's great because we get to discuss things and just talk. And we've got a great series coming up as well. I do want to share with you that I have a YouTube channel that I post all of these recordings on. And you can go to Michael Dorsey Pro, and that's on YouTube. Just open up YouTube, Michael Dorsey, my name, and then PRO, Pro. And you should be able to find it. All of the recordings that we've done since the beginning of this book are up there. Larry Smith should be back with us next week, hopefully. And if he is, that'll be great because I love his commentary. He's got a great insight into things as well. And welcome at the end of this, we will make sure that we open it up for comments or questions or anything of that nature. And we just ask that you aren't trying to sell something or because we've had a couple people say that, or if you're positive, if you're negative, they always say, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all, right? So just be positive or just, the question. So let's talk about the law of victory. Let's just jump right into it. Well, before I do that, sorry, let me rewind a little bit and say that our next book is going to be Attitude 101 by John Maxwell. Now, look at the difference between the 2 books. One's thick, one's thin, one's tiny, one's big. We should be able to cover Attitude 101 in just a couple of weeks. And we're going to be going on to other things as well. But, my dad taught my sister, Kelly Traldi, who's on here with me, and and our other sister, Lori, Mian, our dad, we had a great dad. We have a great mom, taught us about a lot of these things and just simply shared with us. Back in the days when we were little, he would pop in an 8-track. If for some of you guys remember those things, right? Before cassettes, before CDs, before digital, there were these things called 8-tracks, and he would pop in Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. He would do all kinds of things like that. So it's been pretty phenomenal to have learned that. Now, over the years in my career, I have met a lot of people that didn't have the same type of dad or same type of parents and didn't have the same type of upbringing and through no fault of their own. And I think that's why we're starting this. We're doing this. We're not charging. We're doing it just because it's the right thing to do and to try to help people get a bigger vision and see things maybe differently through a different microscope and maybe it helps them. Maybe it helps their generations as they grow, as their children, their grandchildren. It's super important for all of us to do that. So let's just jump right in to what we're doing. If you guys want to get Attitude 101, go ahead and do it. It's a tiny little book. It fits right in your hand. You could probably put it in your back pocket, but it is powerful. There you go. Jeff Ingram's got a copy there. Okay, so let's talk about the law of victory. I had a few things that really kind of jumped out at me. I really enjoyed these 2 chapters. Hopefully you guys did as well. I think John Maxwell is just a phenomenal teacher and has been continued to do so, and just love listening to his audios and reading his material. But one of the things that really jumped out at me was he talked about in the law of victory is just having that mindset of, I will not quit. I will never give up. I will keep going. Failure is not an option. I will learn from anything that I do fail from. I will continue fighting. And when you think about different things that you and I have and we consider to be challenges, and then you read about Winston Churchill and Adolf Hitler and standing up for Britain during the war when the Nazis were just basically just looking to create a 1,000-year Reich that lasted a dozen years. And someone like Winston Churchill comes in and says, never, never, never give up. Don't quit. He stands up to tyranny. He stands up for that. You think about the size and the magnitude of that challenge, to be able to bring people together from a leadership standpoint, and continue to fight. You think about some of the things that you and I deal with, and it's not really that big of a deal. You kind of go, okay, well, but it is a big deal because it's our deal. And so I don't ever want to downplay someone's challenges and what they're dealing with and what they're going through. So there was a couple of things that I just wanted to share about the law of victory. We don't always win. It's how we respond to when we don't win that makes all the difference in the world. So number one, I have 6 things I'll talk about, but number one is being resilient and being in resilience and perseverance. That's what I would write. Resilience and perseverance. It's developing that refusal to quit when you are challenged or you have a setback or you face an obstacle. You just have this burning passion inside of you that you're going to get through it, over it, under it. You're going to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to accomplish your goal and your dream because it's yours. And don't let anybody make light of that. Anybody else's opinion is not your business. You go fight for what you want. That's the way I've always felt. I absolutely, as Dad and I were coming up in this company called Legal Shield, prepaid legal when I first started. But when we were coming up in that, we had people saying, "Oh, it's not going to work that way. You're not going to be able to do this." And we had people saying different things and all that kind of stuff. And the reality was we just kept going. I just ignored them. I couldn't care less what everybody else thought. It made no difference to me, because they weren't paying my bills. If they're not paying my bills or paying my money, then I'm not paying attention to what their opinion is because it's not my business. And the same thing is the attitude that we have when it comes to the law of victory. Adversity is normal. We all face adversity. We all go through it. I think that it's how we deal with it, is the best, is the really the ultimate test of how much grit and how much fortitude you have inside you. I think it's essential that we stay determined, we stay consistent, we stay persistent. When things get difficult, that's when we stand up. When tough times create, stronger men and women. And I think it's important for us to make sure that we don't give up on anything that we want. So resilience and perseverance. It's like, what was it from the Rocky movie? One of the Rocky movies. It's not, he said, Rocky said to his son, he said, it's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can take a hit and get back up and do something about it. That's the biggest difference when it comes to, being a victor, and becoming victorious in whatever your goals are. And that's just the attitude you got to have in life, man. It's going to knock you down. It's going to punch you in the gut. And, you just got to be willing to fight for your dreams. Somewhere along the lines, we all grow up in an attitude where we have this situation where, people knock us and we start taking stuff personally, and we actually think that their opinion might be right, when the reality is that the only opinion that counts is God's and yours. It's the person you see in the mirror. It's the people you surround yourself with, which is the law of the inner circle, which is also in this book. So make sure, that you know exactly what you stand for and what you stand against. Important is as important as what we stand for. Okay. So I think resilience and perseverance would be the first one. I think the second one, is definitely focusing on why you started. Last week, I talked about, if you're tired of starting over, then quit giving up. Focus on why you started in the first place. And that goes back to what you want. It's remembering your goals. It's remembering your dreams. Those are the things that fuel and provide motivation, for your future. And it creates that determination, that will push you into activity mode. And when you get into activity mode, whatever it might be, whether it's you're working out at the gym or in your business or whatever the case might be in your situation, is when you start focusing on that, and you do it over and over and you repeat that process, that's when the discipline is created. And discipline will allow you to continue to grow. As you guys have heard me say, and I stole it from John Maxwell, is motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. And so stay disciplined, stay focused. I was talking to April Landon here at the very beginning of this call, and she talked about reading books about discipline. And it's really important. If you go to my YouTube channel, I talk about discipline. There's one specific video that I did for our Monday night team Zoom that talked about different keys to becoming more disciplined and maintaining discipline. So just, I don't know, if you like it, great. If you don't, great. I mean, it's whatever you want to make of it, but it's keeping your purpose in mind when you're focusing on your why. And we're still on number 2, so don't worry. I know I jump all over the place sometimes, but keep your purpose in mind. Know what your goals are and keep pushing through tough times and stay committed no matter what. And I think that inside the book, there was a quote in there that kind of jumped out at me. It says, when the pressure is on, great leaders are at their best. Whatever's inside of them comes to the surface. And I think that that's something that really it spoke to me, as a business person, as a father, as a brother, as a son, as a leader, as just an individual that just pursues constantly trying to improve and constantly trying to get better. So it's whatever inside of you comes out. And when that comes to the surface, that's when your ability to inspire others really makes a difference. Okay. That's when, if you don't have that burning desire inside of you, that's what attracts people to you. And when you're able to attract people to you, you're able to make a change. And whatever your goals are, whatever your why is, hopefully it's a positive thing. Because if you look at somebody like Hitler, as evil and as disgusting as that person was, he was passionate about what he believed, which was all kinds of messed up. I can't even begin to start on that one, but he still, that passion, that desire was so big that he attracted people to it. And he created he changed the world. But thank God, good versus evil, good came through, and defeated that evil. And sometimes we just have to stand up to it and fight. And that's what I want you to do. And I want you to treat your dreams like that and your goals like that. Like, man, I am not going to give up. There's nobody that's going to tell me. I will not quit. I will not give up, and I will keep fighting no matter what. So that was number 2. Number 3 would be flexible. And I think that we all have to be flexible and agile. And that ability to stay persistent is very crucial, but it's also important to be able to adapt to the twists and turns that come about, right? When it comes to overcoming obstacles and facing adversity, it's just the adaptability. It's being agile. I think that Bruce Lee said it in one of his movies. It's like, you got to kind of be like water, right? Water finds its own level, and it makes its own path. And it creates that. So I think, and another quote from the book says, even a loss can be turned into a win when you learn from it. And then losses often teach us more than victories do. We learn more from loss than we do from winning. And so don't look at loss as if it's a complete failure, because it's not permanent. It's actually an opportunity for us to learn and grow. And so let's just have that mindset that we have to be flexible and we have to be adaptable, because it's like, I know when I first started in business, it's like we had this goal of, we thought it was going to be straight ahead from A to B, right? But no, you guys have all seen those charts that we have out there. And it's like, your plan never goes according to plan, but you have to start in order to get on the path, right? And things are going to happen. You're going to sometimes get setbacks, upside down, turned around, but you just got to keep the end game in mind and adapt and adjust accordingly. So be flexible. in the process of the law of victory. And I'm talking about being victorious in your dreams and your goals and things of that nature. Number four, along these lines, I would say seek counsel. Maybe this is when you're doing you're learning and you're growing and you're executing your plan. The bottom line is that sometimes it may not be going according to plan. Maybe you face a setback and you can't get through an obstacle, or you haven't been able to, but you're trying really hard. Seek counsel. Go find other people that have already done it and gone through it, and surround yourself with that and build your inner circle accordingly. I think that mentorship is so underrated in today's world, because everybody, especially if you look on social media, it's hilarious that everybody's an influencer. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess you can influence people on how not to do things, and sometimes you can influence people for the better and for the worse. But the bottom line is it's hilarious how people think, they don't talk about mentorship, like real mentorship. And other cultures really appreciate their elders, and because their elders have learned stuff, and it's like we can go to that and learn from it. I think I was talking to Kelly, my sister, on here one time, that we talked about, I wish that I had, and by the way, if you still have your parents available to you, or someone that's very special to you, I wish that I had recorded my dad. I wish that I had like created a series of questions and just recorded to him and talked to him about whatever, just different subject matter, and had him on recording, and just to get his insight from his experience. And I think that that's really important that we do that. Mentorship is very important, because they can encourage you, they can offer the guidance to help you make better decisions going forward, and to get through the obstacle, and teach you how to be flexible and be, agile as we go. Maybe you're facing something, which leads me to number five. Maybe you're facing an obstacle that's really, really big, or you have a really, really big goal. And you might feel a little bit overwhelmed. Well, that's normal. So congratulations, you're normal. But maybe when you do number five, which is break it down, okay, into smaller steps, you can take a large goal and dream, and it can be overwhelming, but making it easier, can help, create encouragement versus discouragement. So, rather than giving up on something, break it down into small steps. And so it's more manageable when you look at, like you've heard me say on the Zoom a few times, that if you have to run a marathon, don't focus on the 26.2 miles. Just really focus on the next 20 steps, and then the next 20 steps. It's like, those are the goals. It's like breaking it down on what am I going to do? It's okay, well, I just got to get through the next 50 yards. I got to get the next, and you continue that mindset of just looking at what is in front of you instead of the whole giant picture. You understand what the big picture is, but you break it down to steps. It's like a puzzle, right? You get a puzzle with 1,000 pieces in it, or 100 pieces in it, and you see the picture of the puzzle on the back of the box, and then you look at it, but then you start putting one piece at a time, one piece at a time, one piece at a time. And you're just doing it one piece at a time. Before you know it, you have the puzzle done. And that's the same thing with our goals and our dreams. It's like if you break it down into smaller pieces, it's easier to kind of achieve that goal. And when you do, celebrate it, like we talked about last week. Celebrate every small victory, because it helps you maintain and create and generate what we're going to talk about next, is the momentum, and it helps build that confidence. So let's make sure we stay confident. Let's make sure that we stay positive, okay, which is number six. Stay positive through the process. So even when something negative happens, you say, hey, great, this is a learning experience for me. Let me learn from that, and let me grow from that. What happened? What could I have done better? Instead of saying, man, I screwed up. But, man, I can't believe I'm such a bum, or whatever. It's like, you got to watch your self-talk. You got to be careful what you say to yourself, because your brain believes it. Okay. So let's make sure we stay positive and say, what can I learn from this? This happened. That's okay. That's happened to other people before. What did they do to overcome it? Seek counsel, be flexible, make a change, remap it out, and go for it. And that's what you have to do. You just have to stay positive through all of it. And how do you do that? Well, exercise, drinking lots of water, listening to great audios, surrounding yourself with positive people, calling those people, reading good books, being on Zooms and listening and watching videos like this. It's like, program your mind to become 10 feet tall and bulletproof, basically. Program your mind to block out all that stuff that's around you that might be negative. It's like, be realistic. Don't get me wrong. Don't be like, totally oblivious to what's going on in the world. But at the same time, you got to be strong enough, because you're the only person that can control what you're thinking and how you're feeling. It's like your mindset creates how you feel. And so let's make sure that we're doing those things and we're staying positive through that process. So those are just some of the things that I thought, maybe going through, the law of victory. Number one was being resilient and persevere. Okay. Number two was focusing on why you started in the first place. Number three was be flexible. Number four was seek counsel. And number five was break it down into smaller steps. And number six was staying positive through the process. So that's kind of what I had on the law of victory. And I know that there were some really great stories that were in there, that talked about just different things, that talked about, many things that were in there. And I thought that they made some, Nelson Mandela, and we talked about Mother. He's referred to so many people in this book, the Mother Teresa, to Nelson Mandela, to Winston Churchill, to, it's just like there's so many, Harriet Tubman. What a great book this has been. And I think it's something that I want to continue to read at least once a year, at least, and go back to it. So let's talk about the law of the big Mo, the law of momentum, basically. And it just, it's important to get things going. Now, I love how he said, at least on the audio portion of it, and I was reading it too, but what I do is I read the book, then I listen to the audio, and then I do both simultaneously. So I let him read it to me while I'm reading it, so that it kind of sinks in, even more so. And I really enjoy that time, because it helps change my mindset, whether I'm in a good mood, bad mood, or whatever the case might be. It helps me. But initiating momentum, that's number one. Is how do you initiate it? How do you even get started? Well, it goes back to what I talked about in the law of victory, is taking baby steps. Start with baby steps, small steps. Set a clear direction where you want to go. Communicate it effectively to yourself, to your team, and help inspire others by letting them know what the plan is. And you can actually create a sense of urgency and drive progress by taking action. I think that when you start taking action, people start looking at what you're doing. You initiate that momentum, you get them to buy into it, the law of the buy-in, going back to that, and you help people. It helps you create the initial baby steps. It's like, it's like whether you're exercising every day, or if you're making prospecting calls in business, and you're in sales and marketing, whatever the case might be, it's just a question of just doing. It's just starting to do your plan. It's just start doing it and inspire others by sharing stories of achievements, or when an achievement is also maybe something that you did to overcome an obstacle. So let's make sure that you have that clear direction. You have your plan in place. Make sure you're always planning your day. You're actually a week in advance. Plan your week ahead. Okay. But also the night before, exactly what you're going to do waking up the next day. And that's when you'll have a successful day. And every day that you do that, it compounds over time. And the next thing you know, you're a year down the road. You can create momentum just by starting. Just take the first step. Okay. Take that first step. Don't worry about the whole staircase. Take the first step, right? Martin Luther King Jr. It's like, just don't worry about all that mess. Just worry about the next step. Okay. Take the first one and take the next one. But continue to do that. So, and then number two would be building on small wins. Celebrate the small wins. Momentum often starts with small wins, and it helps you, build confidence. Because when you celebrate the small win, maybe you had a successful day. Well, pat yourself on the back, congratulate yourself, reward yourself in whatever way you want to, maybe pop some popcorn or whatever you like, whatever it is for you, but build confidence and motivation in yourself, and maybe share it with the team. share with the team, say, man, you're not going to believe what happened today, blah, blah, blah. It's like I called John Wynn today and we were talking for some time. And he talked about just some of the great things that are happening. He talked about his experience the first time he met the great Frank Aucoin. For those of you that know Frank Aucoin, and how funny this guy is, and he's amazing. But just the time that he met him, and it motivated me. And it's funny because of the small wins. It's like the very first event he went to, Frank was giving him a hard time. And if you guys know Frank's personality and his sense of humor, he loves to kind of mess with people. And sometimes well, I guess he'd be canceled in our culture now, but you know, he's definitely wasn't necessarily PC all the time, but he's funny as all get out. I love the guy. But yeah, so he's giving John a hard time, but John had done all kinds of things to get to the event. Got in a car accident. His car was barely drivable. He was driving 40 miles an hour on I-95 down to Orlando. His suit was all wrinkled. He was messed up. He showed up late, and Frank gave him a hard time for showing up late. And John was like, I was about to take his head off. And basically, long story short, because he didn't know him, he didn't know who Frank was. He just knows he was going to see the Aucoins, and he didn't know it was his first day or his first week, and he had no idea. And the next thing he knows, he's up on stage with him. Frank brought him up to show him how he overcame it and was able to call the lawyers from the side of the road from the car accident on a Saturday. And it was just like really cool. So I thought that was a cool story for him to share because of our Legal Shield business that we're all in, or many of us are in. And John was able to share that. So I think that, you know, that's adaptability. John could have used that excuse after being in a car accident, but his car was still drivable to not go to Orlando. And he was up, you know, further up north in northern Florida. But he continued going. And it's like, you know, when you adapt like that, it makes a big difference. And the small win that he accomplished was he ends up on stage, you know, and they celebrated that. So obviously he left there after meeting the law firm, which was on the front row at this event, in the Northern Florida law firm. And he told them how they helped them. Like he's talking to the partners and it's like, thank you. You know, you guys did this for me just about an hour ago when I got in this car accident. And it made a big deal, you know, it made a big difference. But you see, me having that conversation with him today allowed me to share that story with you, which is why you got to be communicating with your team all the time, because you don't know what they're going through and they don't always share things with you, or don't even think to share things necessarily unless you just have great conversations. And leaders have great conversations and great relationships with the people that they surround themselves with. And it's important. So number one was initiating momentum, getting it started. Number two is building on small wins. Number three, removing obstacles. You know, leaders need to identify any obstacles that they can control, okay, that may hinder any type of momentum that you're trying to you know, accomplish and try to create. You know, but you got to address those challenges. And sometimes it could be a person, you know, that's inside the team with a negative attitude. It's like you hear the terminology in professional sports. You hear that terminology of, you know, he's a great teammate or she's a great teammate. And sometimes they keep players that are veterans, maybe past their prime, in the locker room because of what they do for the locker room, because they build that positive nature. And then they trade the players that maybe have a negative nature, because negativity spreads 10 times faster than positivity. That's just the world we live in. All you got to do is turn on mainstream news media and know that it's going to be, you know, something negative because it sells. I don't know why people are like that. I can't stand it. It drives me nuts. But I think that when we address any obstacles that we can control, like if there is somebody negative, just don't spend any more time with them. Just don't. I mean, I won't. I've been known to cut people out and they're like, man, he's a jerk. Okay, that's fine. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to help more people. I've got a bigger vision for my life. I can't be around you. You know, I don't want to get any on me. It's like, God, get your negativity off of me. I don't, you know, it's a virus. I don't want any on me, you know. That's my attitude. It's like I can't be around that, you know, because it's you don't need to be draining me. You know, you don't have the right to try to drain my energy. And I'm trying to pour into people and you're trying to take mine out. No, you don't get that. So, I mean, that's my attitude. That's what I think you should have, or at least work towards creating. And that's just prioritizing yourself. It's prioritizing your mental health. It's prioritizing your emotional health. It's prioritizing your goals and your dreams. And it's okay to be selfish so that you can become selfless, in the future, if you know what your goals are. So let's make sure we remove any obstacles that may be negative, that we can control, and then adapt to the other ones that we can't control. I think it's important. So make a plan. And remember this, above all, write this down: action defeats fear. Action defeats fear. Just start doing something, and the fear that you have will be annihilated by the activity and the action. When you start taking the action, the fear dies. We all live inside of our comfort zone, and we've already made all the money we can possibly make and all the possible positive gains that we can possibly make inside of our existing comfort zone. So we have to create a bigger comfort zone. And we need to sometimes stretch that. We should always be stretching, always be learning. So that leads me to number 4, is having and creating a culture of continuous improvement. Create a culture of continuous improvement. Tony Robbins calls it CANI, CANI, like all capital letters. And it's constant and never ending improvement. Constant and never ending improvement. In other words, always be learning, always be growing. So that's number 4 when it comes to creating momentum. And the law of the big Mo is building a culture, not only with yourself, and having that in your own life, but also teaching that to your team and leading by example in that category. So leaders have a growth mindset. They think abundantly. They don't think scarcity. Mr. Stonecipher, the founder of our company, we were lucky enough to be around that. And he talked about having an abundance mentality, and having an abundance mentality over a scarcity mentality and a mindset can break, preconceived, thoughts and activities that were maybe handed down from generation to generation. It's just, it's helping to understand that, listen, when you have somebody like Jeff Bezos, and I don't even know what the amount of money he makes, and you have some people that make $20 an hour, and this guy's making, $1 million or $2 million a second or something. It's just, or an hour or something. It's ridiculous. I mean, the amount of money that Amazon creator, it's just, it tells you it's all in our mindset. I mean, it's our mindset of how big we can really grow, and we're only limited by the size of our thinking, and I don't think we should allow ourselves to, downgrade our passions and our dreams and our goals. I don't think anybody can stop you except the person in the mirror. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. That's what it comes down to. So leaders definitely have a growth mindset and think abundantly. And that's how you create momentum, is by painting that picture for your team. And if you don't have a team, start building one. Start building one. It takes with the first recruit, the first associate. And if you do have a team, pour into them and keep growing yourself personally. So number 5 in this category is also, according to the law of the big Mo, of momentum, is understanding that things do change. And number 5 would be stay flexible, agile, flexible. Like I talked about before, it's still applicable in this. And we need to make sure we adapt to change, to the changing environment, the conditions around us, in order to seize opportunities. And we can really maintain momentum by being that flexible. Okay. Number 6, I already talked about number 5 in detail, but number 6 is lead by example. I mean, I've said that about many of the different chapters throughout this book, but that's what real leaders do. They lead by example. Top leaders lead by example, and they demonstrate those behaviors through their activities, not necessarily through their words. And I think that that's something that's really important to create positive momentum, is being proactive and not necessarily reactive to things that are going on. I think we should inspire others to follow us in order by contributing and taking action and getting out there and doing it. And you guys are doing that by being on tonight, and continuing to be on. I don't know how many people we have on right now, on participants. Let me see. What is it? 62. Okay. Well, we started with 100 and, I think it was 89, and now we're down to 62. I'm proud of you. 30% stayed. We're batting 300. Listen, that makes millions in the major leagues. You guys are here. And I know some people can't make it every week and they go back and watch it. So again, if you came on late, you can go to YouTube and just go to Michael Dorsey Pro, Michael Dorsey Pro, and watch all the previous ones. I just recorded them and I downloaded it and I uploaded it to YouTube and Vimeo. And I'll still pop them on the Facebook page so you can see it. But I mean, if you have YouTube, you should have it. But next week, we're going to cover chapter 17, the law of priorities, and number 18, the law of sacrifice. Now, what I'd like, if you guys want, go ahead and, for feedback, any questions, comments, positivity, just go ahead and raise your hand. The more the merrier. I love hearing from multiple people. I don't want to make it just the Michael show or the Michael and Larry Smith show. I want to just make sure that we are all growing together as we go. So let me go ahead and reach out. We got John Wynn. You're the first one in line. You should be able to unmute. Over to you, my friend. I figure you'll figure it out at some point. Should I ask you again? Ask to unmute.
Oh, there it is. Can you hear me?
Got it.
Awesome. Great job, Michael. And before I jump into it, that story about Frank and Teresa Coyne, I was really new and very vulnerable, and not sure about Legal Shield. And after that event, during one of the intermissions, I'll never forget it. And I told you this: the culture, the people, the love, people coming up to me, giving me aspirin. Would you like an aspirin? There was a mechanic that came up to me afterwards, said, "Let me look at your car before you drive back." I mean, where do you get that, guys?
I know.
We live in a society that's selfish and uncaring, and our culture is the opposite. Just incredible. But anyway, that kept me in it, Michael. That kept me in it. I was in the beginning, and I came back home and I started selling one membership then too. I just unbelievable, that story, but great. But Michael, I love the Winston Churchill. He talks about what is our aim, and that hit me like, what is my aim? And I think about everybody on this call. What is our aim? In the beginning it was PC. Now my aim is executive director. $100,000 ring, 200, 250. And what is my aim for the day? Like, guys, today I had a bad day. I went out today and my goal is to get one. Start with one, and I got 0 today. And, I don't like to stop until I get it, and I usually don't, but I had dinner plans with my kids, and we were going to this one place, but I said, let's go to this other place that I have a customer. It's an account of mine. And sure enough, the GM came out to me and he was like, "Oh my God, John, I was talking about your product. My head chef had identity theft. I'm sending him to you." And he signs up with me tonight. So I'm just like, you don't give up, guys. It'll happen. Even me. I mean, and I'm not the best, but we all have bad days, and where people say no to you. But just great. So my aim, of course, ED. Now it's 250. I love the points, guys. See counsel. Mike, I get to talk to people like you. I used to call Larry and Crit K when I had bad days, and I tell them about the bads, the goods. The pats on the back. Go get an ice cream for what you did. That kind of stuff. I love that. There's so many good things in here. I would keep us here all day, but staying positive, break it down. That's key for me. I break down my days. I break down my phone calls, my recruits, what I want to do with them. Oh my God, guys, there's so many clues in here. It's just, I got to stop. But going on to the law of Big Mo, I love Big Mo. When I played high school, college, pro football, Big Mo was around us. And it's almost like a cancer. It grows. That guy on the sideline that puts his head down and helmet down versus that guy's like, "Let's go, headbutt you, good play, way to run that guy over." And it grows. It'll grow if you have that same attitude. it'll happen with everybody around you too. It does with me, and I've seen it on in a lot of different areas. I remember my best day, man. I didn't want to quit, and I kept going, and I signed up another person. I came home, made a couple phone calls, and it grew on me there. But just incredible stuff. Action defeats fear, Michael. Man, this was just a great call, man. Great couple chapters. I finished the book on an audio, and to go back and see some of my little highlights and hear it from your eyes. I mean, I love it. I love it, brother. Love it, love it, love it. On to the next one, man. I got to get off because there's a lot of other people.
All
Thank you,
right,
buddy.
brother.
Love you, man.
All right. Love you too, man. Take care, brother. I'll lower your hand for you so you don't have to try to figure that one out. Let's go back out to North Carolina to Mikkel Hancock, the great Mikkel Hancock.
Man, man, like, how do you just keep getting better? Like, I mean, literally, like every call has gotten better. I mean, you called the drop in the numbers, man, but here we are. That's just numbers. That's just knowing the business. You know what I mean? That's just knowing how things work. But the law of victory, man, Mr. Dorsey, I want to give you a story that I've got from this because it ties in so perfectly, and it deals with Think and Grow Rich, the movie, with Thomas Edison. And I can't remember the guy's name that went to meet him. But basically, man, the resilience, the perseverance, keep fighting, staying agile, seek counsel, break it down, and just staying positive. This quote has been driving me for the last year and a half. And it says this, it came from the movie, and Thomas Edison said, "I've learned over the years that when a man desires something so deeply that he's willing to sacrifice his entire future for a single turn of the wheel just to get it, you should never bet against that man."
That's right.
And I mean, whoa, it just, you think about, you got Mike Humes. He says it all the time. It's impossible to stop a man or a woman that will not quit. What does your music sound like? We talk about it all the time. When you start driving, when you see it for yourself, the law of victory, when you see the victory for yourself and you start to actually walk in it before it comes, the people will come, man. The people will come. Not only will they, it'll be amazing. Like John Wynn said, it's amazing of what happens when you're working in your purpose, when you're doing when you're doing the necessary activities, and the victories just fall in your lap. You don't even know where they're coming from. They just fall in your lap, man. And then you're talking about the big mo. I just talked about this to my son earlier, and I talked about it to my wife as well. And I was telling him, because we're huge baseball fans in this house, and you were talking about it. Batting 300, that means you strike out 7 out of 10 times, and the MLB is willing to pay you at least $5 million a year. I'm ready for those odds in Legal Shield, baby. I'm ready for those odds, man. And right. When you think about it, it's the hardest thing to get. It's the hardest thing to get, but it's the easiest thing to lose. And the only way to keep it is to, like you said, lead by example. Mm-hmm. Lead by example. The action defeats the fear. And I told my wife, I said, in baseball, I said, anytime there's an error, when there's multiple errors on the field, there's always a rally that happens every single time. Whenever there's multiple errors on the field, there's always a rally that happens from the team that's batting, because they're excited. They are ready to go. And they know the victory is in grass now. That once they see the blood, it's like, we're going in, baby. We are going in. And when you get that momentum, it is a done deal. This is just, whoa, I'm so excited, man. I'm just so excited, but it's painting the picture. I've learned to communicate more, just being on these calls, talking with you one-on-one, and just all of the other leaders here on the call. I've learned to communicate with my family more. And it's even changed the dynamic. Being here in this business, being with you all has changed the dynamics of my family. Like John Wynn said, where can you get that at?
Right.
Being in business change your family dynamics. Where can you get that at? And we're still working on our first million. Back over to you, man. I'm excited.
All right, my friend. Appreciate you more than you know. Thank you. All right, let's go over to the great April Landon.
Hello. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, what an incredible evening. I've taken so many notes, and I'm trying to go through which one we want to talk about, because everyone's going to be talking, right? But honestly, I needed this. when you talked about break it down, when you have a large goal and it can be very overwhelming. In the last 3 or 4 days, I have been very overwhelmed and I'm trying to figure it out. And I actually went and got that counsel, seeked counsel from my personal mentor, one of, right, we have many, but Mr. Walker. But here's the thing, I think also is with that, I'll not only seeking that counsel, but being coachable. Because honestly, he started telling me exactly breaking it down, what you just said, to break it down. But you have to understand sometimes, depending on where you are, that may not even make sense. So, for example, he said, know what you do the night before. And I'm thinking in my mind, well, I said, I was kind of back talking, as my mama would say. I'm like, I do. I wrote it down. I've got what I'm going to do, but I'm overwhelmed because I'm not getting everything I wanted done. So it was overwhelming me. But then he was again bringing it back, keeping it simple, break it down. What are your priorities? What do you need? Right. And so I think a lot of that is being coachable and, and then, you said staying positive and, sharing your stories. One thing I've really learned is always continue growing. It's not about you, it's about what you're going through you can share your stories and how you can help other people. So I decided, because of my coaching with you guys, that it doesn't matter what's going on in life, that if you can't fix it right away, don't get distracted, right? We talked about distraction earlier. So I decided to go ahead and get on this call and share my feedback, even though I just got a call 4 minutes ago, my father just had a stroke. So I'm gonna go check on that. But the thing is staying positive and anyways, I'm not gonna continue, but I just wanted to share that you're awesome and I love our family here, and thank you so much for helping me grow.
We'll be praying for your dad. Thank you for sharing, April, and just go do your thing. That's important. We love you. Take care. Just take care. All right. All right. Wow. Okay. Let's go to Mr. Jeff Ingram. You should be able to unmute.
Yes, sir. Thank you for allowing me to share. Prayers go out to April Landon and her family. Definitely, we are family. We care about each other. So my takeaways, one of the biggest ones that I highlighted was actions defeat fears, because just moving forward and keep doing things and staying momentum. And also the fact that we're going on to the next book being attitude. And I have one radio station in my car right now, and it's a CD player in my car. That's Dave Savola, Attitude. So that's the only thing I listen to when I'm in my car, because it just keeps reminding me and keeps me focused on keeping the main thing. Just go out and meet people and share the information.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thanks for sharing, Jeff. Appreciate you and all you do and your leadership. All right, Mr. Barry Fisher, let's go out to you, my friend.
Mr. Dorsey, I want to say one first thing is thank you for putting this training on and giving us all the opportunity to be able to grow with you from the knowledge that you have to share with us. And my thing is right at the beginning of the chapter of the Law of Victory. It's the paragraph, right? The first paragraph, it says, I think the victorious leaders have one thing in common. They share unwillingness to accept defeat. And we have to accept that defeat to where we can learn and grow. Because once we do that, it says they figure out what must be done to achieve the victory. So, and that's really where I'm at in my life, because what you said in the why, the motivation, it gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing, and keep your purpose before you is where I'm at today. And you and I talked about that when we was in Oklahoma. I sent you my goals for this month, and I am truly after what we discussed, but it's also about the team. And that's the one thing I've done this week. I've taken the team with me to different meetings so that they can be part of what's happening and they can see how it's all coming together. It's not just me saying it, they feeling it, they in that environment, in that atmosphere. And that's where the real goals are, because you're giving them the opportunity to see the bigness of what it's all about.
Yes,
I wanted to say thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate your kind words as always. Appreciate your leadership and look forward to watching your success story continue to grow, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. Let's okay, let's go to Donna Duggins. Hi, Donna. You should be able to unmute. There you go.
Hi, Mr. Dorsey. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
been wonderful. And one thing that I did to help me, because I don't like to read that much, but I also got the workbook.
Yeah.
There's the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership workbook
Yes.
along with that, so that I could take all my notes
Powerful.
for that chapter. And that has helped me to understand a lot more what I need to do for myself
Right.
and to keep moving on and in the right steps.
It's
And I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. What you and Larry have been doing brings tears to my eye. I am so happy that you're making a difference for us.
you're gonna make me cry.
Thank you.
Stop. You gotta stop. You're gonna make me cry. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Have a good evening, but thanks a lot.
Yes,
I love
ma'am.
y'all.
We love you too. You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jim Gavin, over to you, my friend. Jim and Gudrun. You should be able to unmute. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, there's so many beautiful nuggets that I'm picking up from all of this tonight. You know, I think one of the things that you said is there's a lot of negativity out there that people can be putting in their head, like news media or social media. You know, there's a lot of rabbit holes people can get into if they let themselves go that way, right?
That's a good point.
But I was reading something this morning about music, Mozart. You know, it's very structured, discipline. There's certain rhythms in it. And if you play that music for people that have Alzheimer's, they just perk right up. Okay. If people have seizures, all of a sudden it balances their thought pattern. Music does. So it's putting things in your mind that are positive. And what I loved what you said about listening to the audio, reading the book, then listening and reading to it at the same time. You know, that's discipline, putting something in your mind over and over again so you really get it. I mean, that was a great nugget I got tonight. And then action defeats fear. You know, that's, you know, I know that you probably said this in the past, you know, get out of the house, get out of the car, get busy. And I know you always said that you always start the day with 3 calls, right? You want to just get started the day with something positive, income producing activity right away. And the day, and that gets you going. That's action defeats fear, and it gets you going. And then just to wind it up, we are only limited by the size of our thinking. And I thank you for this opportunity to get on this call like this, because it definitely makes my mind bigger and it makes me think bigger. And I appreciate that.
Great. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you and your leadership and all that you do. And I just think it's so important. I got a nugget from you, avoid the rabbit holes. I need to write a book called Avoid the Rabbit Holes. But yeah, no, I think the biggest thing for all of us is to make sure that we are not only taking this for ourselves, but sharing it with others. I think that that's how we impact our society as a whole, because, you know, a group like this can change a lot of things and help a lot of people. And, you know, I love doing what we do. So before we wrap it up, we have our last hand raised, the great Linda Masoli. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Hi, everybody. Wow, what a powerful call. I'm so glad I was able to make this one tonight. I was meant to be here. Thank you so much, everybody, for pouring into me. You know, one part that I really liked, it was the victory part. And it made me think, you know, we can't proclaim victory without a fight. You can't just show up and go, oh, we've won. You know, like we have to conquer something. So what that spoke to me was, you know, you got to stay in the game. You gotta, it's a war, it's a battlefield, right? Sometimes it's here, like your book says, Mr. Dorsey, right? It's the battlefield here, or it might be the market, you know, or it might be the weather, whatever it may be. We've got to push through. And so you can claim victory right? And usually when you decide to do something, man, disruption comes right before, right? And right before the victory too. I remember I was going to start like this video series. You had mentioned YouTube, Mike and Michael, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing that too. And I was about to launch it. I got my new camera, everything. And I came down, I got so sick, I could barely do the fast start class. Some folks on this line remember that I could barely talk. And I thought, here we go. A disruption comes up right when you're trying to do something, but you got to fight through. There's that scripture, right? Walk through the valley. Well, walk is the key word. Let's not pitch a tent. So
Yeah.
I just want to encourage everybody and share the one last thing. Coach Cibola, I call him Coach. The late great Dave Cibola said to me one time, and he said it to many of us, and even from the stage. He says, when he was coaching football, he'd take the players and not put them in the middle of the field, but take them out to the end zone and made them roll around in the end zone and made them feel what it would be like to win, and score a touchdown in that end zone. So we got to stay in the game, everybody. Don't be a spectator sitting on the splintery old wooden bench. It's not comfortable. You may think it's comfortable, but you need to get in the game and get a momentum going. So let's all claim victory. And I thought I'd just share that. Thanks so much, Michael.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We can't proclaim victory without a fight. I love that. That is my new thing. I'm going to use it. I'll give you credit twice and then it's mine.
That sounds good.
It's funny that you said that because I had that this morning and then things like that happen. I had that this morning when I got up. It's, I was just, for whatever reason, I think I slept wrong. I had a little crick in my neck and I was just like, man, I'm just not feeling it. And then I just finally just said, you know what, I've got to go to kickboxing. I've got to, to do this. And I did you guys remember the 5-second rule, Mel Robbins, is it? Yeah, Mel Robbins, I think. Yeah. But the 5-second rule. So I do the 3-second rule because she said you could do that. So I did 3, 2, 1, boom, got out of bed. moving towards the action. I started moving towards the action and it just it enabled me to get my butt out of bed. So even me, I have to drag myself, to sometimes to get it going. But don't count yourself out. You got to keep fighting. And I just that whole thing, you can't win without fighting. You have to fight. And sometimes, like you said, it's all here. It's all here. It's all right there. So let's make sure that we are always combating that. I love what Jim Gavin had said about music, because music can change your physiology in a heartbeat. And it's really important that you do listen to some quality music, good music, inspirational music. Even if you go for a walk, you don't have to go kickboxing like I love to do, or ride 10 miles or run 26.2 miles. What about just walking around the block, or, just and listening to some good music and maybe stretching a little bit and taking some deep breaths, and just your physiology can change just like that by doing some simple things. Drink a glass of water, drink a bottle of water. It does. I notice significant the little things are the things that make all the difference in the world. So let's go ahead and wrap it up this week. Next week, we'll be back, same time, same place. We really appreciate you. Also, for those that came on late, YouTube channel, Michael Dorsey Pro. I uploaded all these videos onto there, and we'll just continue. I love that. Jeff Ingram putting it on there. You can't proclaim victory without a fight. See, Linda, you're going to be world famous. You got Linda Masoli, like it. The good man. He put it in there. You gave her credit. Good stuff. So that was fantastic. I love it. See, we learned so much from each other. All right, guys. Love you guys. Let's make it a great week. Let's make it a productive one. We're praying, April, for your dad and your family. And thanks for all your input. And we'll talk to you next week. Take care. Good night. God bless.